Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show. I'm Deborah Prinzing. I'm so happy to have Delisa Hiel of Gardenwerks in Helena, Montana, as my guest today. Hi, Delisa.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I love it. I'm so glad we're doing this. Your business model is fascinating to me. And I'm going to just read what it says on your website and then ask you to dive in and introduce the business to us. But Garden Works, and that's Garden Werks, one word, Gardenwerks, is a landscaping garden center, flower farm, and florist. So you're really bringing horticulture and floriculture together, which I wish more people would do. So congratulations on that. That's a great business model.
Thank you.
Can you just walk us through it, how it's set up, and does everybody cross train, and how do you run a garden center and a flower farm? I just think it's really an interesting way to connect with your community.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the flower farm was a recent addition to the business. Gardenworks started as a landscape and nursery in Helena by my father-in-law, Mike Hiel. And about 10 years ago, I asked to join the business, and he graciously said yes. And ever since then, it's just been such a beautiful partnership. And the flower farm has its own staff, but there's definitely is some crossover. So, like, if I'm in the garden center and somebody needs help with apple trees, I'll either pass them off to a garden center employee, or I'll at least walk them out to the apple trees and show them around. So it's a lot of education
Yeah,
for consumers as well as our staff too.
for sure. And I guess what is so interesting is that Helena is, what zone is that? It's not exactly a year-round gardening community, right?
Correct. Yeah, we are a zone 4B.
Okay. So, but I did see that you on your website, you pretty much have hours from February through December. So January and, oh no, March through December, maybe. It said
Mhm.
January and February, by appointment only. Is that because most people aren't able to garden during those months?
That's correct. Yeah, it's usually pretty cold and snowy. This winter was slightly different, very mild in comparison, but still very dark here during those
Yeah.
months. So not a lot of growing happening during those times.
But the roots, having those deep roots in a garden center and landscape design business means that that was sort of an established audience when you started growing cut flowers, maybe at least a mailing list. I mean,
Definitely.
how did that evolve?
Yeah, I feel so privileged that I came into a business that already had such a strong customer base that, I mean, this business has been here since almost 40 years now.
Wow.
And so we've have a lot of returning customers that come back year after year, and our services are constantly expanding, and I think our customers really appreciate that we now offer cut flowers because it does tie in so well with the horticulture piece of it. So they can come in and buy a tomato plant alongside their tulip bouquet. And it's just such a like symbiosis, really.
I love it. I love it. Well, you have beautiful display of tulips behind you. Tell me, are those just recently harvested? Is this like your first crop of the season, or
So
they're just gorgeous?
we've been harvesting tulips. We do a nice winter program, so we have them from about Valentine's Day through the month of May. I was fortunate enough to take the tulip workshop and learn so much from that. So right now we're growing. I think this season we had 24,000,
Wow.
and this is behind me. We're just wrapping up with our greenhouse production, and field production is just slowly behind. But we have a tea and tulip class that we're offering this weekend. So these are just kind of coloring up so that they'll look their finest for that class.
I saw that tea and tulip class was sold out though already, right?
It is. Thankfully, it always sells out. It's just such like a beautiful way to welcome the season of spring, and we grow a lot of our own herbal teas also. So it's just seasonality and just the local scene at
Right.
its finest, and people really appreciate that.
So how many people will attend that?
I think we have 25 on the guest
Okay.
list. That's about as many as I like to entertain at a time and space as
And
well.
yeah, and how do you, is it set up inside one of the greenhouses or where do you hold it?
It depends on the weather. Typically in
Okay.
April, it's always in the greenhouse, but I think this Saturday is supposed to be pretty warm, so I might try it
Wow.
outside. We'll
I love
see.
it. Yeah.
Because we've definitely had a nice, it's almost been too warm in the greenhouse, and people sipping on a hot beverage in a hot greenhouse because I have to turn the fans off, and it's a little bit more of a sweat lodge
Yeah.
situation at that point. So,
Right, but from a flower farmer point of view, for you to have access to greenhouses for your tulip forcing and other things too, I'm sure, and then the field grown acreage, it gives you so much versatility. So, how is the farm set up in terms of what grows under cover and what grows in the fields, and what is the size of that?
yeah, great question. So, the greenhouse that we have is a 30 by 60, and the flower farm primarily uses it February through end of April.
Okay.
And then we're switching to the field, and then the garden center kind of takes over the greenhouse, and they like fill it with their annuals. And then we have a half acre under production for the field crops, and we do have 3 high tunnels that offer a little bit of that season extension as well. And it's about half annuals, half perennials at this point.
That's
Hoping
amazing.
to, yeah, it's not a huge, I mean, huge property overall. We do, I mean, and we do have to share it with the garden center and the landscape team and all that. So, but overall, I think it works and pairs really well.
Well, I think that term symbiosis is so smart because there's so much interest now in people. Obviously, it's a more sustainable, and maybe as people age, they don't want to be as down on their knees, planting seed grown crops, but having the perennials kind of become your permaculture. It's like the nursery's already selling those perennial plants. So for you to start integrating them into the flower farm, it must be an easy decision. Like, are you buying in starts together, or are they completely different types of perennials that you would have versus the nursery?
Yeah, there is some crossover for sure.
Okay.
We do like share a lot of the same suppliers that we would maybe buy plugs from, or perhaps some younger woodies or some bare root type stuff. But overall, the cut flower industry does have our own kind of niche products, but we do grow a lot of things from seed, and we're also offering those to our customers as well. So they're seeing things like Lysianthus in our greenhouse, where I bet if you went around town, you wouldn't find Lysianthus in any other nursery here.
Right. In the greenhouse to put into a home cutting garden or border.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think that's largely overlooked or ignored by the nursery industry to even offer cutting garden plants to the home gardener. So you've got this edge of the expertise that you can tell people, hey, we could offer that. I mean, maybe not every year, but if there's enough requests by the next year, the nursery could add that, and you're kind of their beta for trialing things.
Yeah, totally. We test it, and then if it works well here, which, it is a tough, harsher growing conditions. So I
Yeah.
think having that knowledge in our wheelhouse, our customers do appreciate that.
So, Delisa, tell me how you got into the family business, married into it. And does your husband also work for the business?
He does. He's head
Okay.
of, he's kind of one of our general managers, but he's also a head landscaper.
Okay. So you got the landscape side. When you first started, were you working on the landscape side, and then you just noticed that there was space to grow a cut flower farm? How did that leap take place?
Yeah, so I've always been a flower child. My mom would be the first to tell you that I was the young lass girl, like going to our hillside and picking wildflower posies that she would put on her windowsill. And I went to school for horticulture with an emphasis in landscape design through MSU Bozeman.
Okay.
And
So really close by then, right?
yeah, just
Okay.
hop and a skip away. And I worked in the nursery at Gardenwerks. Like, I interned here in college. That was how I originally met my husband. But I kind of fell into floristry because it's kind of a microcosm of design, and I really appreciate like good landscape designs, but I just love that floral design is just all of that wrapped into something you can put in your hands.
I agree. I love that analogy. It is. It's like a little garden
Hmm.
setting that you're creating in a vessel.
Right. And it doesn't require like I never really enjoyed like the machinery and the like that type of thing. So floriculture felt more natural to me. So I did land a job out of college in like a full service flower shop. It was a nonprofit that worked with adults with disabilities, which was really
Wow.
fun. But I was the head florist, so I was still doing a lot of funerals, weddings, and also, everyday arrangements. And within that realm, I learned a lot about like the global industry and conditioning flowers and just, all of it. And the first summer I was working there, I had a bride who requested sunset colored dahlias. And at the time, I don't know if I'd ever seen a dahlia besides in like a little annual pot or something.
Okay. Like a dwarf dahlia in a
Yeah,
color
yeah.
bowl or something.
Totally.
Wow.
And so at the time we ordered, I mean, this is probably 15 years ago, ordered in from our supplier, a great reputable California grower. But if you know anything about dahlias, you know they don't always ship well. And I just remember getting that box, opening it, and my heart just sank because they were all bruised and just falling apart. And I mean, and probably no fault to the grower at all, just shipping. Some things
It's
just
just
don't.
yeah, it's just hard on those dahlias. They get smashed and they
Hmm.
shatter because they're just so in a way they're pretty short-lived anyway. So the shipping
Exactly.
just exacerbates that.
So at the time, I had to call that bride and disappoint her on her wedding week, which no florist like ever wants to do. But
No.
thankfully, she was so gracious, and we subbed it for roses or something. And but I went to my boss at the time, and I was like, you know what? I have a background in growing things. Like, let me try it. And so I got a handful of dahlia tubers, threw them in the ground that next spring. Didn't know what I was doing. I got a broomstick size bloom off of each plant, but was totally bit by the dahlia bug. And I mean, that's kind of how the farming side of it started. And then it evolved into me asking my father-in-law, hey, can I now do this as part of the business? And so that's kind of that like full circle.
I love it. The dahlia was your gateway drug, but now, as it says on your website, here at Gardenworks, we grow over 100 fresh cut flower varieties on our small flower farms. So, obviously, that path has expanded, or that tally has expanded. Are dahlias still one of your primary crops, or your reputation at
Yeah.
Gardenworks is for dahlias?
I do love them. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship. I still feel like I struggle a little bit with storage,
Mm.
but we do grow close to 1,000 of them now, so it's evolved.
Yeah, and the storage is because you do need to dig them in the winter and store them?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I know there are some zone, like, 5 growers overwintering their dahlias with, like, a lot of straw and whatnot on top, so that's something I think we are gonna try this
Mm,
season,
yeah.
um, but, yeah, always trying new things.
So when you do that with 1,000 dahlias, are you, also adding some of those tubers that you've divided, into your inventory and just selling them direct to home gardeners as well?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. We didn't have enough this season, unfortunately, but in years past, that's definitely been a really nice offering that we can offer local dahlia tubers to our customer base, and everyone loves dahlias, so
Right.
yeah, the home gardeners especially.
So how does the retail floral design flower shop side of the business, enhance what you're doing? Are you running both the farm and the retail floristry, or do you have other people helping you? Because it's sort of two jobs that are both demanding.
Yes, thankfully, I get to do this full time. I have one other full time staff member, and then we have one part time gal that helps out also. And it's definitely like both things happening
Right.
simultaneously. Thankfully, the nursery staff also helps out a lot with like checking people out. So we have a retail flower cooler within our retail space. So we have a studio in the back that we're making bouquets and then putting those up in the front flower cooler. And thankfully the nursery helps sell them for us throughout the day.
Are those like, the grab and go, just pre-designed
Yep, yeah, like
arrangements?
market bouquets. Yep, we do a lot of that through the season, and we also distribute throughout our community. We do a once a week like Flower Friday at different coffee shops and bakeries, and that's been just like a great marketing tool and also a way to like build community and just exposure
I
for our
love it, like little pop-ups almost.
Yeah, and we do it every week. We start with our dried flowers in end of January through Thanksgiving is kind of when we wrap up. So,
So the Flower Friday, then you have a kind of a host location, a business that wants to like support another local business. So
mhm.
maybe I'm assuming you're reaching their customers who maybe haven't gotten in the car and driven over to Gardenworks to realize that you guys have cut flowers. Is that sort of the
Definitely.
okay?
Yeah, it makes them more accessible, which I think local products that is like I don't know, it's just a limiting factor for
Yeah.
people. Like they don't know where always to find it. So making it more accessible to people, I feel like is just a great thing to do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you're meeting them where they are. If they're already going to go to the bakery or already going to the coffee shop,
Mhm.
give them this surprise of local flowers. Are you trying to price those bouquets and size them so that they, reach a certain price point or a certain scale, or does it just depend on the crop?
We try and keep it consistent. Right now, I think they're like $25, which is
Hmm.
pretty reasonable for
Yeah,
our area and for the amazing product that they are getting
yeah,
and how fresh
yeah.
it is. Um, and it's really well received, and people come in asking like, "Where are the flowers going to be this week?" And they're always usually in the same spot. But I love that people get excited and they kind of know about Flower Friday now
I
and
love
like
that.
anticipate it every week. So.
It's like you've created this habitual, you know, repetition for people to make it part of their weekly habit is going to grab some flowers, which is what we want, right?
Yeah, totally. Like in Europe, they do that so well, and I would love to establish that here more in the US.
That's really neat. So you're letting people know about those locations like from week to week on social media, or how do they find out about that?
Yep, we'll do a social post every week, like Thursday night, and we'll tag all those businesses, and they'll typically like reshare, and we take pictures of what's going to be in the bouquets those weeks, so people can kind of anticipate that as well.
Wait, will you do more than one location every Friday?
Yes, we have,
Okay.
I think 9, including ours. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Wow. Um, I'm just curious. Well, first of all, I want to say it's almost like a reverse CSA because you're just pushing these out into the community. People don't have to subscribe, but they're starting to get into that weekly or biweekly habit. But the other thing that's so brilliant about it, I'm stating the obvious, but you're using what you have. And so your designs are changing every week based on what's in bloom, right?
Yeah, yeah. That seasonality piece is so important because it makes for a different product every week. And that's why this job is so lovely. It's like I'm never doing the same thing twice.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. And then hopefully those people will then come to the nursery and realize that there's other plants they can buy or workshops they can take, teas they can attend. I mean, I think of Helena as kind of a smallish college town. Is it like it's like 50,000 population? What's the
Hmm.
size?
50 or 60 if you include like East Helena. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So not that everybody knows where every retailer is, but how many other garden centers and florists are you competing against? You're kind of one of the big options, right?
Yeah, I would say that we're the most like inclusive as far as like, that we do have the garden center, we have landscape design, we have a maintenance department and also
Mm.
irrigation. And I don't think anybody in the area and the flower farm, obviously,
Yeah.
but offers all of those
Yeah.
in one package. I would say there's probably like 3 to 4 other nurseries in town, and about the same for like flower shops
Yeah.
too. Hmm.
Which you can't be all things to all people, so that you know who you are and your brand, and that's, as you say on your website, seasonal fresh flowers and artisanal natural designs for weddings and special events. So, just talk to me about your design work. And since you've trained in other flower shops, you've learned all the basics, the mechanics, all the
Hmm.
principles of design, but you're putting your own interpretation of design when you create a wedding or an everyday arrangement. How would you describe your aesthetic?
Oh, that's a good question. Gosh, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but
I know there's only so many words in the English language that we can say. It's
um,
okay. I'll say
I
them
mean,
for you.
natural and artisanal, I think is what I wrote.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
natural and artisanal. I love that because it's not people don't know, all the terms in the floral industry. So you're kind of telling them this is different, this is special. This isn't
yeah,
your grocery store arrangement.
yeah. And one thing that I think sets us apart from the other flower shops is we are using 100% locally grown blooms. When I first started, I would import things like eucalyptus or baby's breath, but just found it wasn't up to, I don't know, just I was always kind of disappointed with some of the stuff I
Mhm,
received. And so
mhm.
it just makes so much more sense to me and is in alignment with my values to use what we grow here locally at the farm. And that takes a certain type of bride who is flexible and, but also celebrates that seasonality that we offer to our brides. And I just think the results are, I mean, I'm 100% biased, but
Yeah,
our flowers are the best.
right, exactly. I mean, you can't argue with that. Do you grow roses? Are you growing garden roses, or is that a tough crop for Western Montana?
I have not dabbled in roses just
Okay.
yet. It's definitely maybe a pipe dream down the road if I had a different, like a, um, yeah, they seem to be prone to thrips here. But I don't,
People are buying the plants for their gardens, possibly, right?
yes, yes, we do
Okay.
offer a lot of more like shrubby roses, but
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
not as much for like the floral world. I mean, you
Yeah.
definitely could use a garden rose and an arrangement, but not
Well,
yet.
you've got the Lysianthus, so if somebody wants that look, you have an alternative for them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, I love that. So it is, a lot of education to bring along a couple to say, "We'd love to work with you and give us your floral palette, and, we'll create something beautiful," but they're not picking from an online menu that tells them they're gonna get exactly this look. I mean, that's not your vibe.
yeah, correct. I mean, to the best of my ability, I can give them a visual of what flowers should be blooming during
Mhm.
their wedding, like around that time and in their palette. But I never guarantee any type of bloom just due to the nature
Yeah.
of farming. That's
Yeah.
just not a good business model.
Well, then, I'm just curious, do you have people who want an all dried flower wedding, like, come winter, or is that pretty unusual?
It's not, I mean, it is unusual, but it does happen from time to time. And especially like getting into October, like October is still a really beautiful month in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes our last frost, or our first frost will land like October 10th. But say if I have an October 3rd wedding, I always kind of line it out with, there's a chance we'll have fresh flowers, but are you okay with dried if for some reason we get a frost? And I have had brides say yes, like that's in line with like dried flowers are great for October. So
Right.
yeah, it does happen, which is nice.
Yeah, because that's the biggest variable that you can't control is the temperature and the climate, especially at the very beginning and very end of the season. Uh, it's so hot and dry in the summer. Are people getting married like in July and August, or is it more of a spring fall kind of calendar?
Yeah, good question. June is definitely, I would say, the for the wrong term of word, hot month for weddings.
Yeah, right.
It's not the hottest month.
The dates get I see the calendar behind you. The dates get
Yeah.
snatched up, right?
Yes, yeah, but July, I would say, is fully booked. August, I would say people take a break. That's typically
Mm.
wildfire
Oh,
season,
wildfire,
excuse
yeah.
me. So it does get very hot and smoky in August, depending on where the smoke comes from. But September, it picks back up a little bit, but that's kind of the trend for
Yeah.
where we're seeing wedding work.
And you've got other demands for your flowers during even August. There, even though the wildfires are making it very hard to work out in the fields, you're probably having to still care
Yes.
for and tend and harvest those flowers, right?
Yeah, we do also offer like a flower CSA during the summer months. So consistently moving flowers almost daily between the CSAs and also like the market bouquets around town and then the weddings. So
Yeah.
there's always a need for
Yeah.
flowers.
I love it. So the events are in the store or the on-site events like the tea. That's something is that something you're trying to expand, just to bring people in the door, or have you always been doing that?
Well, I love tea and flowers, so it was a very natural blend of those two to bring together. But we do offer different workshops, and mainly in the spring and the fall, just because summer is so intense
Yeah.
and people are traveling a lot. And so I offer, kind of these arts and crafts type um, classes. We offer one called like Field to Base in the summer, where they'll get a farm tour, and then we go back and make an arrangement. But I also like to teach educational classes, so I'll be teaching like how to grow great dahlias in a couple weeks, and
I saw that on your website. Yeah, I love
intro
that.
to flower gardening.
Mm.
And then like in the fall, I'll teach about like how to grow uh, like tulip bulbs and
Oh,
whatnot. So
yeah.
it's all very seasonal, but I do enjoy educating people and bringing
It
people to the door that way.
and it crosses over so nicely with the nursery business because people who come are maybe already predisposed to wanting to garden and wanting to grow. So I
Hmm.
love it. I cut you off. You said you also do an intro to flower
Flower gardening.
probably gardening. Okay, so that's for the cutting garden
Hmm.
aficionado. I love it. Uh, well, I'm really curious to know what kind of I mean, sounds like you're Montana born and bred. You're a local,
Hmm.
a local person. So the whole thing that I've heard about Montana for many years is that there's no wholesaler in the whole state. Like the floral industry is traditional brick and mortar flower shops. They're relying on product to come in from outside of Montana unless they buy from a small scale flower farmer. How how are you fitting into that mix? Like, are you thinking about wholesaling to other florists, or is your plate full with everything you're using for your own
Hmm.
customers?
Yeah, good question. When I first started, I really thought I was going to sell more to other florists just because I was one and
Yeah.
kind of spoke the lingo and understood that. But I did approach all the florists in town, and one of them said they didn't want the bugs.
I've heard that before.
And and that was like during the first couple of years where you're throwing just spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And at the time, I think you've had Cindy Hansen on your podcast. She used to own the urban garden downtown.
Yes, and she came and worked for you at one point, didn't
Yes, she
she?
did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is she retired now?
she is.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, she's a special human.
She's a hoot, yeah.
So she bought for me for the first couple of years, but she went out of business, I think, right before the pandemic. And I got her flower cooler,
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh my goodness, what a
which
great fit.
yeah, and she's just still like constantly around and in our lives. So I appreciate her relationship a lot. But anyways, with other florists, I just yeah, books are kind of full here, and because we're such a small flower farm, it doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
wholesale our product.
No. I mean, from your point, what you're doing is all retail, and so
Mhm.
you're able to do that because you're selling to yourself, and that is such a great way to build your margins and be competitive too with, the I don't know what to name names, the grocery store in town that has a floral department and they're in some big national drop ship program where they're getting boxes of flowers from, I don't know, mostly Europe and South America, I would imagine. You
Mhm.
can't compete with some of those prices. So
Yeah,
growing them yourself is really your competitive edge.
I agree. I think our quality is better.
I think that's hard to argue with. So you've got this tulips and tea this weekend, and do you have you filled your calendar for the year, or do you have some things that you might be adding later in the season,
Yeah.
depending on like lemonade and Lysianthus? I don't know.
Oh, now you're giving me ideas, Deborah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Since you grow so many herbs, you can just have rosemary lemonade.
Right? That sounds lovely. Yeah, so we teach a couple like floral arrangement
Hmm.
workshops, like a field to vase style is what
Yeah,
we call them. The other thing that our company offers is something called the Works Market, which is a farmers market style event that's free to the community. And we're doing it a couple times this year, I think in June and in September. But we have like live music and food trucks and um,
brilliant.
some vendors, mainly like local producers of like meat and eggs and bakery items and honey, like that type of thing. And so we have a couple of those coming up. And then in the fall, we teach a lot of dried flower workshops, like with um, dried flower wreaths or pumpkins are super fun. And then in the winter, we also host evergreen wreath workshops too, using a lot of locally sourced evergreens,
Right.
which are plentiful in Montana.
And having the greenhouses so you can have warm, dry indoor
Hmm.
classroom space is probably because, or are you doing those in your high tunnels?
They are in the greenhouse,
Yeah.
which if the sun is shining, they make for a beautiful event. I have had a few cold, snowy days, but people in Montana come to expect that, and they're such good sports and will,
Yeah.
dress warm and make their flower or their winter wreath or whatever it is.
If you live in Montana, it's by choice and you love the seasons. That's what you're offering people is something truly seasonal,
Hmm.
versus, parts of the country where you kind of see spring for 1 week and then it's instantly summer. So, I love it. Well, I love the idea of the market too, because when you have the works market, are you also setting up market bouquets that you have as a like a vendor within that, or
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, we have in the past. It depends on our weddings schedule, which I think this year maybe doesn't line up as well, but we have had like a little booth in the past with like, so end of June would be like peony bouquets, like anemone and
I
ranunculus
love
mixed
it.
in. And yeah, in the September is like the dahlias and maybe mixing in some dried flower bouquets with that as well. So yeah, it kind of just depends on our schedule, but we like to, and we, our storefront is here also. So if we don't have the time, we still have the items available here.
Yeah, a beautiful display.
Hmm.
So before we wrap up, I have one final question for you, but is there anything I didn't ask that you want to make sure we cover before we wrap up?
Oh, I think I wanted to tell everybody about the Works Market. That's a big
That's
event that we
neat. I love it.
throw here.
I love it. It's like you're creating community and you're incubating other artisan makers
Yeah.
and agriculture people, and that's beautiful. I wanted to ask you how it is being married into a family business. Like, do you and your husband just talk business all the time, or are you able to like
100%.
leave it at the door when you come home?
Oh, it really depends on the day. And what's funny is like both of us are so passionate about this business that like even when it does like run into dinner time conversation, like it's just something I never get tired of talking about and
Yeah.
figuring out and problem solving. And but I love that we're doing it together, but we're also like in separate lanes. So we're like
Yes.
like, we pass each other during the workday, but we're not working directly with each other. So I think that is what makes it work so well.
Right, right. You've got your expertise and he's got his expertise, but you can be there as sounding boards for each other.
Yeah. But with the downside is like during like spring when we're both, it's just such a big push to like get the nursery ready and to like get all these seeds started and planted and whatnot, that it's, when you come home, sometimes it's just like, are you making dinner or am I making like
Are we getting to go food? Because I
yeah.
got to go to bed.
So that type of schedule makes it a little difficult. But
Yeah, I
overall,
love it.
it's a beautiful, like, I love it.
It's so special. Yeah, it's so special to share that and have it be your shared passion. If only I could get my husband to be just as excited about flowers as I am.
For
But
sure.
he helps me in the garden, so I can't complain. He's a
Mhm.
good sport. Nothing he ever signed up for, so
Totally.
well, I hope that I get out to Montana to visit. I'm possibly. Well, I'm taking my mother to Billings. I think I told you that after
Mhm.
Mother's Day to research whether she wants to move there. My brother and his wife live there, so it's possible that I'll be coming more often. And a lot of times it's easy to just fly straight to Billings, but a drive from Seattle would be wonderful. I could stop and see you and see other Slow Flowers members across the state. So I'll keep you posted on that, Delisa, because it would be wonderful to see what you're doing in person.
Yeah, we would love to have you.
And anyone who's listening to this, if you have an event to go to in Western Montana, visit Helena and Gardenworks. You'll have a friend there and someone you could talk flowers with.
Definitely. Always.
So we're going to share some photos that Delisa has given me. They'll be in the show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com and all her social places so you can follow along. And I hope you have a great spring season leading into summer. Thanks so much.
Thank you.